Democrats working overtime to take back the Senate seat that they lost in Pennsylvania. They're going for a recount. This case has already been called. The race was decided by the AP, but now a recount is underway. You see, the Pennsylvania Department of State just said that they're going through an automatic state recount because of the law, and there are lawyers that are making their way to Pennsylvania right now, including our friend Harmeet Dillon, who says that Mark Elias and Casey, the Democrat who lost in Pennsylvania, are shameless election deniers and sore losers, saying our lawyers from our firm are already there, and there are more who are prepared to join. If so, they're going to be piling in there. So we'll come back on that. But here's what they announced in Pennsylvania. Secretary of the Commonwealth, Al Schmidt, announced today that official results in the November 5th general election have triggered a legally required statewide recount. All right. Bob Casey, senator, who lost, and Dave McCormick, who won, have vote totals within 0.5% that triggers a mandatory recount under state law. There were a bunch of lawsuits that were being filed about counting the provisional ballots. This is a very dynamic state right now. Many of those things were just resolved yesterday. So we'll see where this is going. But as of today, here are the unofficial returns. 67 counties. You can see it's 48.5% for Casey versus 48.93% for the Republican David McCormick. He won. They called it. Casey's refusing to declare that he lost, to concede the race. Once counties finish counting the ballots, they must begin the recount no later than Wednesday, November 20th. So just under a week. They must complete the recount by the end of November 26th, report their results to the secretary by noon on the 27th, and the results of the recount will not be published until the 27th. So we've got an outstanding Senate race that is a pretty important one. The Republicans will keep control of the Senate, regardless of this outcome, but it would shrink the margin, I think, a bit, because this is currently being counted, right? It would be 51, maybe down from 52. We need this one because we have Squishy Murkowski and Squishy Collins and others. So the department estimates that the recount cost will exceed $1 million of taxpayer funds. And so that is happening right now. McCormick was already declared the winner by the AP, currently leading by 29,000 votes as of Wednesday. Super close race. Casey's declined to concede the race because said on Tuesday that they're still working to count the 7 million ballots that have been cast. And this is what the Democrat election results denier is saying out there in the media.
Hi, everybody. It's Bob Casey. My priority has always been standing up for the people of Pennsylvania. Across our Commonwealth, close to 7 million people cast their votes in a free and fair election. Our county election officials will finish counting those votes just like they do in every election. The American democratic process was born in Pennsylvania, and that process will play out. I want to thank the election workers across our Commonwealth who've been working diligently over this weekend. Their work will ensure Pennsylvanians' voices are heard. Thank you.
All right, so the recount is mandatory under the law. He's not conceding. We saw that Ari Fleischer is responding to this post. So Guy Chiacochori says that Pennsylvania and Casey's lawyers are actually in court right now. This was yesterday, arguing for the following votes to be counted. Okay, they want these to be counted. They want ballots of non-registered voters, whatever that means. They want unsigned mail-in ballots to count. They want mail-in ballots without dates to count. They want ballots cast in a county where the voter does not live to count. Okay, so this is what the Democrat lawyers are in doing. They said, here's a statement from Bob Casey. They said, Dave McCormick, the Republican, and his allies are trying to disenfranchise Pennsylvania voters to throw out large tranches of votes that they've admitted in legal filings could impact the outcome. They're like, yeah, those are not legitimate ballots. Hello? There's no date on it. Senator Casey, the Democrat, wants all Pennsylvanians' voices to be heard. Even fake voices should be heard too. This democratic process must be allowed to play out to determine the results of the election. So their lawyers, this guy's Guy, he is reporting this, saying ballots, non-registered voters, so you just cast a piece of paper, I guess you count, unsigned mail-in ballots, illegitimate, Mail-in ballots without a date, so could have come in after the election. No one knows. Ballots cast in a county where they don't even live. That's what they want. Now, Ari Fleischer says Republicans need to pay attention to this to see what Casey's trying to do here. Says, while he doesn't have a chance, this is a warning about how they're going to count votes in close races. They want to count people who aren't registered or don't have IDs or even live out of county or maybe even out of state. Confirm Casey has no case, says our friend Harmeet Dillon, super lawyer, but he and Mark Elias are shameful election deniers and sore losers. Several lawyers from my firm are already there, more prepared to join if needed. So good stuff on that. We'll keep our eye on that, see if there's any litigation that is filed that reaches a point worth mentioning. But there are more problems with Mark Elias and his representation. We see that he was the author of this website called Democracy Docket. There's been a lot of litigation. So this is a background on what has been happening on this, right? In one lawsuit, McCormick sued. On Friday, Philadelphia started to examine 15 to 20,000 provisional ballots. McCormick argued that the county is going to examine provisional ballots, and you can see there's a lot of litigation. Last month in Pennsylvania, the Supreme Court ruled accordingly. Then McCormick filed another lawsuit. Court issued orders. And a lot of this was resolved, I think this was yesterday. But as I said, we'll keep our eye on this race. Very important race. Another important race was here in Arizona. Kari Lake put out a message, which to me sounds like a concession without actually saying that she's conceding the race. But here is what she said in this message.
Hi, Arizona. Kari Lake here.
What's up, Kari?
For 30 years, you trusted me to bring the news into your homes, to tell you the truth. About 3 years ago, I walked away from a 7-figure contract in the fake news because I couldn't lie to you. What good is money if it comes at the cost of your soul? I was sickened spreading the government's COVID narrative. And I was at my desk one day and opened the Bible, and an old Bible verse gave me the courage I needed, the courage to walk away. I thought that would end my time in the public eye. But to my surprise and my eternal gratitude, the people of Arizona rose up and requested that I run for political office. This journey that we've taken together over the past few years has been once in a lifetime. It hasn't been easy, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. They threw everything at us. Fake news, hundreds of millions of dollars, and the most vile attacks. And through it all, you never wavered. Thank you enough for that. It was a movement of love for family, for Arizona, and for America. And I am grateful to all of you who shared it with me. Arizona is a special place, and I'm thankful that President Trump and a Republican majority in both chambers of Congress will be in office to help protect us. As I watch his cabinet forming, I take great comfort in knowing that America will be made great again. And that's good, because that's what the American people deserve. You deserve a secure border, a prosperous economy, safe streets, and free and fair elections. And I know more than anything that this administration will fight to deliver that for you. As for me, I can say for certain that truth will never stop mattering to me. You will never stop mattering to me. These memories that we've made together will never go away. They will grow sweeter over time, and I will never stop fighting for the state I love. I entered this fight with the Bible verse, and I will leave it with you as well. It's 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is for certain we can carry nothing out. It's an amazing Bible verse. It really inspired me, and I hope it inspires you. Thank you for everything. I love all of you. God bless America. And God bless State 48.
Nice message from Kari. Big mistake that
Hi.
Arizona didn't get her involved in our leadership in some way, shape, or form. For whatever reason, she was not supported by the federal Republicans. Mitch McConnell didn't give her a dollar. And every single race, it felt like she was in an uphill battle. She was also facing institutional battles in Arizona. We had the elections of 2022 that we covered here extensively, looking at the delays on election day from guys like Stephen Richer and Bill Onesie Twosie Gates that, in my opinion, are not fair election purveyors in any way, shape, or form, who had a strong anti-Kari Lake, anti-Trump bias, led to a very difficult landscape for her. And so we'll see what the next stage is for her, what is coming next. We'll see if she lands a spot in the Trump administration, but I'm sure that we're not going to see the end of Carrie Lake. She will be around, no doubt about it. So here we're now asking about the House and the Senate and what the balance of power looks like now that we're over a week out from the election. We're starting to see some of the dust settle. Here's what MSNBC was reporting. This is Steve Kornacki giving us a breakdown.
218 now. NBC has the Republicans with that magic number. We'll just show you those two districts that were just called that gave the Republicans the majority, secured the majority for a second straight term for them. 6th District of Arizona. Basically, these are the suburbs of Tucson. You can see right here, southeast Arizona. Juan Ciscomani, the Republican incumbent. It's a tough race for him, but now NBC projecting he will hold on. He will retain that seat for the Republicans. So that was number 217, and then number 218. We'll just zoom in here on Southern California, where you got all sorts of. I zoomed in too much. Zoom in on Southern California. There you go. The 41st District. This is Ken Calvert. He's a longtime Republican incumbent. He was first elected back in 1992. Redistricting, though, a couple years ago, put him in a much more competitive district. This was a rematch for him against the Democrat. In this district, when it was redrawn in the redistricting process, you could see, I'll zoom in, it takes in a pretty expansive geographic area extending from the far fringes of almost the LA metro area into the desert, Palm Springs. It took in Palm Springs, overwhelmingly Democratic area. That's what made it competitive. That's offset, though, by some conservative areas as well. Rancho Mirage is in here. And Calvert, again, he had a close call 2 years ago, another close call, but he hangs on. That gives Republicans 218. And there are still some uncalled races on this map, because you can see here, there's 9 of them, as a matter of fact. Where are they? Look, there's the 2nd District of Maine, and that's Democrat Jared Golden. They're going to a ranked choice voting there, but Golden has had the advantage. Certainly, there's Marinette Miller Meeks, Republican in Iowa.
All right, so still a lot is still outstanding. You can see he's going to go through them all, but 218, there's several of them still outstanding. And close races. That's a 3,000 margin right there, 73% in. It's like, how are you still counting votes? It's a week later. This is so ripe for fraud. There's a 3,000 vote difference here. It's 73% of the vote is still in. Gosh. Okay. So that's happening in California, which is a dumpster fire. So that's there. Meanwhile, we're looking forward to creating some efficiency in our government. Vivek is going to be on the team. Here's what he says.
Here. Look,
$2 trillion. I stand corrected.
No, I want to be very clear about the scale. I want to be very clear about the scale that we're thinking here. We're not thinking small. We're playing big here, because we have a once-in-a-generation mandate right now. The American people have voted for drastic reform of the government, and our federal government is broken. It's no secret that it is a 4th branch of government, the administrative state, that makes most of the rules, that creates a federal bureaucracy that's hampering our economy. So what do we want to do? We want to go in and slash and burn that bureaucracy to help Americans, stimulate the economy, and to restore self-governance again, Sean. The people we elect to run the government, they're not even the ones who run the government anymore. It's these unelected bureaucrats. Republican politicians have talked about fixing this for a long time, not with a lot of progress. So I do think it's going to take a couple of outsiders. Elon and I have built a great friendship over the last year. We're working together intensely, and we're not going to stop till we get the job done.
Hey, all right, let's go. Vivek and Elon getting after it. Meanwhile, we got Johnson over here who's saying, will you please stop taking our House representatives, President Trump? We need some Republicans in Congress, too.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have, Sean. We have an embarrassment of riches in the House Republican Conference. Lots of talented people who are very attuned to the America First agenda, and they can serve the country well in other capacities. But I've told President Trump, enough already. You got to give me some relief. I got to maintain this majority. And he understands that, of course. We've been talking about it hourly almost every day. I think we're going to be settled. The numbers that you just projected there, I think, will be the reality, and we will have the majority. I think these seats, Matt's, for example, his resignation today was to help us, because it starts the clock under Florida state law. It's about a 8-week process to fill that seat. So if we do this quickly, and I've already called Governor DeSantis to ask him to kickstart this thing, we could have that seat filled by January 3rd when the new Congress begins. So that would be one seat replaced almost immediately. All 3 of those that you mentioned, all 3 of my friends, all come from deep red districts. Yeah.
All right. So saying, yeah, things are shifting in the House pretty dramatically, but we are going to maintain control of the House and we'll get things done.